Hi there, I'm Uncle Joel with Pen and Reel. So I just recently watched the new Swamp Thing show, available on the DC Universe app in the States and Amazon Prime in the UK. So I'm a big fan of Swamp Thing. I read the Alan Moore comics years ago and I loved Scott Snyder's take in the New 52 up to and through when Charles Soule took over. I was never a huge fan of horror comics. I've never been a huge fan of horror in general. I don't really connect with it, but getting into the more esoteric aspects of it, I found very interesting, and I loved the ideas that each of those writers brought to the table. Going into the show, I wasn't really sure what to expect. They were very much pushing the horror aspect of it, so I was a little skeptical about how I would connect with it. I do appreciate some horror, and I'm more engaged with it as a writer than anything else, so I wasn't thinking that I would dislike Swamp Thing, but if they were focused solely on the horror aspect, then there's the possibility that I wouldn't really care for it too much. Fortunately, the way they handled it, it was more of like a mystery horror, and I really enjoyed it. There's a good mix of Len Wein's origin and Alan Moore's revolutionary run to the elements that Scott Snyder brought to the table, and just little bits of each that pulled together to make this very comprehensive whole that I found very interesting. That being said, I would have appreciated more of an introduction to the Parliament of Trees and a deeper exploration of the green, but this first season really felt like they were leaning more on the horror element rather than the more esoteric stuff that came with Alan Moore and Scott Snyder and Charles Soule. So really the way that the show progressed was at the beginning of the season it was very much Len Wein's origin, and it slowly shifted into Alan Moore's Swamp Thing with elements of Scott Snyder's contributions trickled in, like mentioning of the Rot. But overall, it was definitely more on the Len Wein horror side of it. Now, I'm very much disappointed that the show got canceled, even before it was ever released, because I really wanted to see where they would go with it. If they would explore more of the horror element, or if they're going to branch off more into exploring the Parliament of Trees and exploring the green and exploring the Rot and maybe bringing the red in and just really delving into the magic and the mystical elements of it all. Unfortunately, as is common knowledge, the show got canceled before it ever even released, and so I'm just grateful that we actually got the release. And so we have as much as we do. I thought Swamp Thing was really well done, and I appreciated the Alec Holland that they presented. I found the characters engaging, especially his relationship with Abby Arcane. I was a little concerned how they would approach that, but they did well. I enjoyed Abby Arcane as well. The characters I was not expecting to show up were Madame Xanadu and Blue Devil, and I very much appreciated their contribution. This is a different Madame Xanadu than what we're familiar with, but if you're familiar with my take on things, I don't need a one-to-one correlation from the comics. I like different takes, so long as it's faithful to the core of the character. And this Madame Xanadu is very faithful to the core of the character. But again, since the show got canceled, we don't get to see how this would all play out. So I'm disappointed that we're not going to get a proper Blue Devil on screen. I really wanted to see how Blue Devil progressed, and I wanted to see Madame Xanadu get more involved in things. And this was working well to build to an eventual Justice League Dark, or simply just a strong exploration of the mystical elements of the DC universe that we haven't gotten up to this point on screen. So I would say my main complaint with the show is that it was too slow. It's very much a slow burn show, which is in keeping with their other shows like Titans and Doom Patrol. But I feel like that was kind of a detriment to the show, at least to the extent that they took it. I feel like the entire season could have been condensed into maybe half the amount of episodes, and then had the second half explore more of the Rot and the green and really delve deeper into the mystical elements. But that aside, what we did get was good. I very much enjoyed it. It was a good show, and I'm quite frankly disappointed that we're not going to get more. That being said, I'm hopeful that the recently announced Justice League Dark show by J.J. Abrams will pick up elements from this and carry it over. I would love to see the same actor return as Alec Holland / Swamp Thing in Justice League Dark. I would love to see them bring this Madame Xanadu and this Blue Devil over to the Justice League Dark universe. I can understand that if they don't do that, and probably they won't, but I would like it if they did. So amongst the 3 main DC Universe shows, Titans, Swamp Thing, and Doom Patrol, I would say Swamp Thing's probably my second favorite. I'd put Doom Patrol top, then Swamp Thing very close behind, and Titans somewhere below, because Titans does have more flaws than I found in the other 2 shows. So yeah, there you have it. I hope you get the chance to watch this somehow. If you do, or if you have seen it, let me know what you thought down in the comments. Until next time, this is Uncle Joel saying, stay tangible.